We call the meeting, gotta get used to this microphone. Call the meeting to order at 4:30. And roll call, are we gonna do this?
Commissioner Vargas is just absent, so you can just do a manual if you want to everybody else. Right?
Okay. Commissioner Ryan, Commissioner Paul, Commissioner Span, Natalie Martinez, and Jacqueline Kelleher. Okay. So do we have any oral communications?
None.
I always do that. All right. And flag salute now. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and we said no oral communications, correct? All right. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
I second it.
Is that Terry?
Yes.
We'll go ahead.
I don't think about it, but you can just manually.
Do you want to do a?
All in favor, say
Yeah,
aye.
you can do whatever, sure.
I approve 6-0.
This is new for us. We don't have our regular voting system. Okay, so our first new business is the Escondido High School mural design. And Robert, that's you, right?
It is me. Thank you. Good afternoon, Public Art Commissioners. My name is Robert Rhodes. I'm the Assistant Director of Community Services, and I am here today with Sandra Aguilar, who's going to assist in presenting the Escondido Union High School District mural design projects. So just to give you a little bit of background, we have been working with the Escondido Union High School District for approximately 5 years, so since 2020. We signed an agreement with them to be able to utilize student artists to place murals on public facilities. As of right now, the only facilities that we've been using are those that are over at Washington Park on both the recreation building as well as the pool house. So this particular presentation is going to be talking about the one that is available through on the pool house. So again, this has been a 5-year agreement. This is a part of the strategic plan that was adopted back in May of 2020. It falls under the art education category. And you as the Public Art Commission allocated $10,000 as a part of this particular budget. This last year, for this coming year, city staff had requested aquatic designs because we were interested in actually placing murals on the inside of the pool house, which would be on the pool deck. And so the Escondido Union High School District submitted 12 designs to the murals subcommittee. And the murals subcommittee met, and then they selected 3 designs that were sent to the public for input and review. So this is currently option 1. This would be option 2 that was selected. And this is option 3 that was selected. So based on public input results, 1, 2, and 3, you will see that we received 241 responses and 33 comments. Of those, choice number 1 was by far the largest one that was selected at 76.3%. The next one being option 3 at 18.7%, and then option 2 at 3.3%. So it is recommended that the Public Art Commission approve the UHAC option 1 for the mural proposal at Washington Park Pool House titled The Surfing Shrimp by Del Lago Academy 10th grader, Jessica. And we do have Jessica in the audience today to speak on her behalf of the mural, if you'd like to hear from her.
I have a question before Jessica does a presentation. Was the only direction aquatic? Was there anything beyond that?
I can speak to that. This is okay if I...
Thank you, Robert. This was a beautiful presentation. And thank you, everyone, for the 5-year support that you've given us. It's like, for a lot of our kids, this is life-changing opportunity. The idea was be about public safety, water safety, swimming, considering Escondido background and history, and be fun for the kids that are in that area. The location of this wall, and Jessica has projected it to the wall, it's right to the next of the horse, which is a very, I don't know if you have seen that, it's a very colorful painting of the horse, so these two will sit very nicely next to each other. This is inside the pool area, so it's guarded by a fence. This opportunity was provided via email to all Escondido High School District art teacher, CTE teachers. Every high school, 3 teachers participated, San Pascual, and 2 from Del Lago, and this is the result.
How big is this mural? Is it going to fill that whole space there?
Yeah, the idea is, do you have a picture of the actual,
The only picture that I have is
the wall with, yeah, there you go.
the wall.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it.
So the idea is that will be filled, just a little bit will be left at the
Right.
top. We want to be in the same height as other murals, so it's going to be a little bit before getting to the maybe 12 inches, 14 inches before getting to the ceiling.
And I see there's a peak in the roof there, so it would be pretty hard to...
Yeah, it's pretty hard, and we don't want the students to climb up too much because they are going to be painting it. We hire 2 students as peer tutors. For many of them, this is their first real job, so yeah.
This might be a silly question, but they're gonna move that trash can, right?
Yes. I should have moved the trash can when I was taking photograph, but I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking about it. But the trash can is gonna go.
Before you step away, I'm over here. I just want to tell you, thank you for your service in a way of supporting all these students and bringing wonderful opportunities to them and to us as a city. We really appreciate what you've done.
Junior year, they learned more about their city, and it's not even art class, it's their Spanish and English class. And now we've started taking kids full trip to Washington Park for them to see these murals and the art walls in Esco Art Alley. So that's our field trip, we take them around. And last year was the first year, and they loved it because many of our students don't even know that their friends painted this art. So Jessica is here. I don't know if you
Jessica.
want. Come on, Jessica. Super talented young lady. Here.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and yeah, I drew the mural.
You did a wonderful job. It's so fanciful and creative and imaginative.
Every time I look at it, I see something else. Like I just discovered the little island. It almost reminds me of like SpongeBob. You know SpongeBob SquarePants, they have that island when they zoom out. It's very cute. Very whimsical. I think, the shrimp surfing leaves a lot to be, to the imagination. I think it's so fun, and I think considering that, there will be a lot of different ages at the pool, it gives a lot to look at. And yeah, great job.
Jessica, you have done something that a lot of artists strive for. You've done subsurface, which is of course below the water, and then the middle ground. And then for your background, you've done a really wonderful job of bringing that all together and showing movement. Thank you for doing this.
I just like to say one more thing. It is just really bright and colorful, and I think it will speak to the people who are at the pool because the age, I know their age is all the way up, but this is kind of, we're all kids hopefully, at that age, at any age. So anyway, especially when you're in the pool, I just want to say I believe the people have spoken as far as, so you have my vote.
Was that a motion?
I have a question. We were debating this during the mural subcommittee. In the bottom left-hand corner, are those whales or porpoises or,
On the bottom left hand, it's supposed to be like seals. They're like holding hands and like.
Oh,
We stared at
Very
this
cute.
for a few minutes, just looking at all the different characters. But yeah, thank you for your participation. We really liked your mural.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we
Approved.
approve this option 1 for the mural at the inside of the pool building at Washington Park.
I second that motion.
Voting open?
All in favor, put up your hands.
Aye.
This is very strange.
Approved 6-0.
Okay, so now we're going to have a presentation from Commissioner Ryan regarding a stair mural.
I'll wait until it goes up on the screen. One of my friends asked about what it takes to be a commissioner of art. She's from Manhattan Beach. And I told her that it takes a willingness to stretch yourself and use your imagination and find things that will enrich your community. And so she took the position, and she was part of this drawing and painting a seal on the steps in Manhattan Beach. If you notice, the steps are all painted on the vertical, which is a difficult thing to do, believe it or not, because you have to understand that the next step is either going to go out or going to go in. And this artist did this work, and he is very meticulous about his details. In the far picture where he's solo bending over, you can see him pointing out the little whiskers. And this has done a beautiful enhancement for a public place. So when I saw this, I thought, oh my goodness, we've got to do this to Escondido. And I started thinking, where are their steps? And it absolutely killed my mind because I couldn't figure out where we had steps. And finally, one day I happened to look over at the mall, and there they were the whole time, staring at me. There's 16 steps. So if I were presenting this to the public, I would say, what takes 16 steps? What animal would be on 16 steps? And the first thing I thought of is the picture here also, I believe, is about 16 steps. So I knew that it could hold a giraffe. And why not bring a giraffe down to Escondido for visitors to see, people driving by to the freeway, shortcut to see, and for people daily that walk up and down these steps, celebrating our wonderful safari park. The giraffe is from Uganda. That's the giraffes that they use at I believe, only the safari park, but I thought it would fit perfectly on those steps. It's going to take a very creative artist with experience, and I want to stress experience, because if you miss one step, then you have a crooked giraffe. We don't want that. So I believe that there was a, Heidi knows this next part about a discussion at the Magic Circle.
Oh, no, there was, at that meeting, there was a representative from the mall, Nicole Noel Shaw. And so I guess the question was, who owns the steps? Is it the city or the mall? And she was able to ascertain that it's the mall
Yes.
and said that she loves the idea.
And I, after talking to Heidi and realizing that she was in favor of it, it was an easy call for me to make and say, I understand that you're aware of the giraffe idea on the steps, and she was very excited. She said, I am the one who makes the decisions, and I have decided that we would like the giraffe on the steps. Now, there was no further discussion from me at that point. And I will say I walked the steps, and there's one area where part of the steps, I think you might be able to see it. It's on the second tier of the steps in the center, where there is a slight damage, but easy to repair. So at this point, the ball's in our court. Would we like to do a giraffe on the steps, a mural?
Do you know what this artist was paid to paint the seal?
Yes, I do. Now remember, this is Manhattan Beach, and they have a padded budget. It was $30,000.
Let's see. So one of the things, Robert, do you want to talk about the budget situation that you've laid out for us here?
So you may recall when, at the last meeting, when we were talking about Vita Gold and the possibility of placing mural on the silos that they were looking at doing. That is the most recent amount of money that we have specifically allocated for murals. It started out at the beginning of the fiscal year with $100,000. That was a part of your annual work plan. And then there were a couple of projects that were backed up that were not allocated for, including the Know Your History, as well as the Velas Rosas. And then there was one other, and sorry, I can't remember right off the top of my head. That ended up reducing our budget to about, roughly right now, and just generally here, about $39,000 based on the last the last allocation that I've looked at. I do not have a current one. That information will not be out until later this week. And speaking with the folks in the finance department, we're running a little bit behind in running some of those reports for us. So unfortunately, don't have those specific numbers available for you now, but we are expected to have those numbers by the end of this week. So we're looking at about, I would say, safely between $30,000 and $39,000 roughly is what you would have available to you.
At this moment?
Correct.
Because we have not set our budget for next year yet.
Correct. So that would be for the current fiscal year, is the available monies for the murals project.
And then the Vita Gold project is kind of pushed out, is that correct?
So they haven't reached back out. What we've done is we've facilitated some contacts with them, as well as, I believe, Commissioner Rogers guided them towards a possibility of getting like a grant as well. Because based on what the discussion was that the Public Art Commission had at the last meeting and what they were originally envisioning was vastly different. And I think what they're looking at is, easily a $100,000 project, which obviously the Public Art Commission at present would not be able to fund.
And then the mural, back to the stairs.
You're already going to break
I'm sorry, I know. Do you envision, Terry, them using all 3 channels? Or just this, the center?
I would envision, well, first of all, let me clarify something. I don't think we're in a position to pay one artist $30,000 to do this. I think we could find a local artist that has experience that we wouldn't have to house. That's another problem. So just keep that in the back of your mind. To answer your question, I envision the giraffe with his neck a little stretched out, just in the middle steps, just because that's the most predominant area. And if in the future they wanted to make more of a mural, I can't see that, but I think it's possible, then you haven't used up your whole steps, but you wouldn't have the railings to deal with, crossing under and over. And so that's what I see, but this is something maybe other people visualize something different.
Yeah. I think because I volunteer at the safari park, and every time people come to the safari park, I point out the fact that the African Plains area, and of course everyone's asking, where's the African tree? And everyone loves that. And that's the biggest part of the safari park that makes it unique,
Yes.
and draws it apart from, the zoo itself, and it's the animals living amongst each other. So I, see this space if they, we start with the giraffe,
Yes.
say, and then you have a landscape behind it. I could see other artists kind of coming, either same artist or other artists coming in and adding in the other animals that live in the plains as well. Because, it's a wide space, and I think you're correct in putting the giraffe in the middle there because you want to highlight its height versus like stretching it out, almost like when you stretch out a photo and it's wider and it just doesn't work. But yeah, just something to keep in mind because that's what draws people to the safari park, and I think it's a great canvas to kind of lean into that.
Yes.
It is a great canvas. Something that you need to keep in mind is we can't go out and solicit artists individually to do this. We would be talking about a formal call for artists to do
Yes.
this. And I agree with Commissioner Kelleher that this is a beautiful canvas. It's the same conversation that we had about the Vita Gold grain silos. You have this big, beautiful canvas. We should use it if we're going to use it.
Yes, and it's so visible from the side of the road, that cut-through road. I mean, I personally, if the giraffe were there, I would look at him every day because giraffes make me very happy, and I think it brings out curiosity. Maybe some people don't even know the safari parks here in Escondido. So I will thank you for listening, and great.
So the question is, and in my mind, the answer to this question is no. This is in my mind, is whether we're going to undertake this in our current year. And I don't think that's possible. The next question is this something subject to budget that we would want to do, that we would want to look at in our work plan for the 25-26 year?
Personal opinion, yes. I think there's a big push in the community to promote the mall and to really have people focus on returning to the mall. Of course, it's, a mural isn't going to bring, thousands and thousands of people, but I think it brings a sense of community, of course, and looking for a word like closeness to what's in your backyard. So I think it would be great. I think it's nice, and I think it kind of fits in with what's going on at the mall, especially after their big takeover. Now they're merch shops.
I agree. I think
I would like to say I think it's a wonderful idea, and I think it is something we need to. Did I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of focus of art on the mall specifically, and I think we'd be doing a disservice to the commission if we didn't take this opportunity, given that they are also eager to collaborate on the same project with us.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. I was just going to say that this is something you can't kind of spend your money before you know what you have. You can't count your chickens before they hatch. So So I think it would be something to look into, because we don't know what the budget's going to be next year, and we don't want to spend it all on one, commit it all, and it sounds like that it's coming out pretty soon. That said, just speaking of birds and chickens, you're looking at the space here. I love the idea of the giraffe, but a bald eagle would spread its wings, and they would be interesting too. I mean, there are so many visions that you could do there, but just because it is a wider stance, and bald eagle is right now a big thing with it hatching its babies up in big bear. So, but I'm sure, don't they have a big deal at the mall or the Wild Animal Park with the bald eagle?
We don't
They
have to
have-
design the art yet.
They have a bald eagle, but I think what's even, in my opinion, talking as a private citizen, not a volunteer, the hallmark conservation project of the park is the condor, saving the condor species. And that is, they have the biggest wingspan. And so, there's so many directions you can take it when it comes to animals. I think, if we're leaning into tall, and all of that, of course, the giraffe's natural. I think it would be nice to not only have the giraffe, but have other species to show the diversity of what the park offers.
Thank you.
I think what we're deciding on here is if we want to consider this in our work plan for next year. And it'll all be subject to budget. So I would say the motion is that we will consider a mural on the stairs at the mall during our work plan sessions. Is that sufficient?
If that's the direction that's provided, yeah, absolutely. There's because the request was just simply to provide direction. There is no vote that is associated with this. And it sounds like I'm hearing from the majority of the commission that this is an important project. And while maybe it cannot be done right now, it can be incorporated potentially into the annual work plan process. We'll be providing you with an annual work plan update in 2 items down. So we can talk a little bit more about it then too.
Okay, so you have it.
We've got it.
Good.
I just want to say one more thing. I think the giraffe is the hallmark of the San Diego Zoological Society, because if you read West with Giraffes, which is part fiction but part history, it's about the first giraffes that were brought to the United States, went straight from the East Coast to the San Diego Zoo, and it was the pride and joy. So, and also it's vertical, whereas the eagle would be horizontal.
And the mural committee will be able to put the narrative together for the call so that you'll be able to drive that. Okay, subject number 4, the educational pamphlet. You're again looking for direction, and I think Commissioner Kelleher, you asked for this to be on the agenda.
Yes. I don't know if this is where
So-
I hop in.
I have a quick presentation just to provide you, and then you're welcome to jump in. So just as a little bit of background here, the educational pamphlet, again, was a part of the 2024-2025 annual work plan. It was listed under art education. The budget for this was $10,000. To date, there has been no progress. Part of the reason for no progress is staffing capacity related to those higher priority art projects. So those art projects being like the Escondido Creek Trail, the Escondido Community Foundation art projects, as well as our very large one that we're working on, which is the roundabout on Grand Avenue, as well as some of our smaller projects, which include the Escondido Expressions program. Let's see, as well as one of the things that we are needing to work on as far as the educational pamphlet is making sure we have a much more comprehensive art inventory. And that art inventory, as you know, is a work in progress currently. We did release it at our last meeting, so you got to see what that looks like. We have not had an opportunity to make much progress on it, but I'm going to give you an update in my liaison report that may lend itself to more progress is going to be made in that area shortly. So one of the things that we are asking is a couple of options, and this would be a vote once you have the opportunity to comment, which is option one is to completely remove this from the 2024-2025 annual work plan. Option two would be simply to postpone it into the 25-26 annual work plan. But if you were to do that, I would need a little bit of direction on what to incorporate into that pamphlet as far as what is important to you as the commission. And then option number three is to make it a priority in the current annual work plan cycle. But then that also would mean that I would need to know what hierarchy of priority that you would assign to this outside of the other projects that we are currently working on, with the understanding that if this is a much higher priority project, then this would bump down or off one of those other projects that we are currently working on. So that's the completion of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I think based on where we're at with the tracking or the GIS tool that we have to show off all the art throughout the city, you know, in my opinion, I think it'd be best to postpone this to next budget year. And I think that, you know, where we're at with the Grand Avenue project as well, and finishing up a ton of utility boxes, where are we at with the Creek Trail, which I'm sure we're gonna get an update on. You know, we're kind of in the middle of so many things that are a high priority, so I definitely think, you know, it's still worth thinking about, and I think that this would be a great tool, like either passing it, you know, having this pamphlet as a resource in some of the shops throughout Grand, handing them to art teachers in the Escondido High School District, with resources not only like, here's the art that's out in the city, but, you know, mentioning the murals that we do. Yes. Esco Alley art, but the mural project that we have with the Escondido School District, talking about the shops on Grand that promote art and, you know, the different opportunities or, you know, the different facilities for people to create art on their own. So I think there's so many things, but I think that we have these big projects that would really be attractive on a resource and a pamphlet such as this, that we kind of got to work through that before we can provide a well-rounded piece of information for people.
I agree with you. And the other part of this is we have the Magic Group who has done maps in the past, who is kind of holding back to see what we are going to do. This was also in one iteration or another, it was also a topic of discussion at the council visioning meeting. This is top of mind for so many of us that I think that it has to stay, it's not feasible for us to do it in this year. It needs to go on our work plan for next year, in my mind. Robert, you said it was live. You showed it to us live, but it is not live to the public. Is that correct? It is still not live to the public.
It is actually live to the public. So
it is?
Yeah, so it is now. So if you were to go to the, let me show you.
While you're looking, Sandra and I were talking about the possibility of a QR code for this. Is that in the realm of possibility? Because I think that we can do some things in the interim. We can't make a full solution, but I think that we can do some interim things.
So you will notice on your screens, this is the page specifically dedicated to public art. And then off to the left-hand side column, we have a couple of different menus that are available. The bottom of that is the public art maps. So if you were to click on that, that would take you to our public art maps, which was shown at the last meeting. So this is the, so it is currently live to the public, and it is completely available to everyone.
I agree with both commissioners to put it off, but and having this visual here is so important, and having a QR code. I mean, even having this, as you were talking about it, down at the Queen because people are always saying what's happening in Escondido, to be able to hand this out. We don't have it, but we certainly can have a QR code that would that we could lead people to. We could have it right there inside the Queen to check out what else is in Escondido. That's all. We really want to bring people there, and we want to bring people from the Queen up here because it's so connected. It just
And this becomes really important as we go into April, Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month, because we will have so many opportunities to hand out even a small flyer. And it doesn't have to be all shiny and pretty, if it gets the message across.
Absolutely, and that we can create something relatively simple that can direct people to this website that shows all the different art that we have. We can have it posted in a couple of different locations. So our communications team is very adept at creating QR codes, and our graphics team is very, very adept, as you well know, with the Public Art Strategic Plan in creating amazing graphics for us. So it should be something relatively simple that we can do for you.
Okay, so then I guess there will be some that will come out of this year's budget then.
There will be some that will come out of this year's budget potentially, yes.
Okay, and would we roll in that sculpture walk thing, do you think? I mean, you already, Sandra knows what I'm talking about. We don't have a sample of it here.
Are you speaking about the map, the walking map?
Yeah.
It does need some updates. I did do some quick updates, but it definitely needs a lot more work. I'm not sure with the timeline that it would be available by April.
Okay.
But if we're making, especially with April being Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month, I think it would allow us to create, perhaps I was mentioning to Robert, a QR code on a postcard, something simple that we can hand out. That we can feasibly do in this fiscal year. And that would also allow for the public to be able to submit any art that's not on here, as there is a tool for them to submit any suggestions or missing pieces.
Postcard's a great idea.
And it would be something that would be relatively easy lift for staff for me.
I think that's a great idea. I think especially to capitalize on April, and there's so many events going on around town, and so I totally agree.
I agree too, especially with the little things we've done in the interim, as Commissioner Rogers was stating. I think the public polls we've also done to engage people and having them add commentary and stuff has also just added a lot more engagement with our community. But yeah, I think of the map as sort of the digital pamphlet in the meantime. So if we're able to hand people someone to make it easier to access, I think that'd be perfect.
Agreed.
I like the idea that it's small, it can fit in a pocket if you fold it, or in a purse, and that it's something that you can take home, put on your refrigerator, or store it away somewhere that's easy. So I think it's a wonderful idea.
So just to be clear, to make sure that I'm hearing everyone and the commission, is that what you're looking for is for us to do a trimmed down or very brief version of the educational pamphlet that would be, let's say, postcard size in nature. It would have some basic information on it and a QR code that would be able to direct people to either our website or the art inventory website. Is that accurate?
I think so. I think you'd have like a few bullet points saying interested in seeing what art is in Escondido. Are you an artist yourself? You want to submit, however you would do that verbiage. Are you looking for events, art events around the city, etc. Like a few little, bullet points.
Yeah, bullet points that relate directly to links that they could get to on the website, right? So if we're gonna do, we don't want to make it hard. But it shouldn't be single use either. I agree. Whatever's easy, whatever's easy and will fit on a postcard and you make it look pretty is kind of how I feel. What do you guys think?
I agree.
Yeah. Will we have the opportunity to review that?
We will share that with the commission.
Okay. This is a provide direction, yes?
Okay.
What was that?
We were just commenting about making sure we have it in time for April, being that we are currently on, the 10th of March.
Okay, and if I need to print it, if you need to send it for Magic or the DBA or someone to print it, we have a little bit of budget for Art, Culture, and Creativity Month. I know I'm not supposed to talk, but yeah, we'll get it printed.
I think the biggest challenge will be is the development of the postcard itself, the graphic design of it. The printing should be relatively easy. We can do a lot of that in-house.
Okay, great, thank you. That's wonderful. Look at you forcing us to make progress. Okay, and Robert, you're up. Annual work plan.
Okay. I think we're good. I don't know, all of a sudden I'm hearing feedback. I'm like, that's not good. All right, so the 2025-2026 annual work plan update. As you recall, last month, what we did was the annual work plan is established by the Public Art Strategic Plan. It requires, this is an annual process to facilitate successful implementation of the Commission's goals and objectives, and they're based on 4 distinct categories. Those categories being art solicitation, art education, art maintenance, and decommissioning. The timeline in general is in January, we establish a subcommittee, and that is formed between 2 to 3 members. In January, you selected Commissioner Rogers, Commissioner Span, and Commissioner Paul to sit on that particular subcommittee. Then between February and April is the formulation of that plan. May being the adoption of the public plan by the Public Art Commission. July, we would be giving an update to the City Council, and then August forward is the implementation process. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Just to refresh everyone's memory, I'm going to review very quickly what the progress is. I don't know why everything's a question mark, because it's not supposed to be. I will review that with you in just a second. Clearly, it did not transfer over very well, just some minor technical difficulties. The art solicitation portion of the plan, or that particular category, has 4 different items within that, and that includes the Grand Avenue Roundabout Art Project, which we are moving forward on, the Escondido Creek Trail Project, which we are also moving forward on, the Escondido Expressions Project, which is in the process of being implemented, and then the murals as well. As far as art education is concerned, it is the Art, Culture, and Creativity Month, the UHSD student murals, which you heard earlier this evening, and then the educational pamphlet or handout, which we also talked about just a little bit ago. Art maintenance would be the community sculpture, as well as Queen Califia's Magical Circle, and then decommissioning in this case was Vinehenge. Of those that were supposed to provide to you what was in progress and what was completed, at this point, the only thing that has actually been completed is Vinehenge at this point in time. Everything else is more of a work in progress, and so we are moving in that direction of completing it. And we've also received really great feedback tonight as far as the educational pamphlet is concerned, so we can do that as in progress as well. And by the time the May meeting comes around, that will be completed, so we can check that off the list, which would be great. So this is having the subcommittee having met a couple of times. There was the creation of their proposed 2025-2026 annual work plan. I'm going to kind of share those with you right now, including art solicitation. The Grand Avenue Roundabout is the continuation of that project. The Escondido Creek Trail, also a continuation of that project. And the Escondido Expressions, also a continuation of that project. The other thing that we'll probably want to consider in that regard is the stairs mural that you had just discussed will probably be added to that list. And then as far as the art education is concerned, the Art, Culture, and Creativity Month, the grant-funded program that we operate would continue into next year. The UHSD student murals, we are at the end of our 5-year agreement with them. And so this will be the 5th and final year of that presentation. And so the subcommittee felt it was important to continue that work, and so we can enter into an additional agreement with them. The Queen Califia and Sculpture Garden Strategic Plan, I'll go into that a little bit more in just a little bit. And then as far as the categories for art maintenance are concerned, the banner program, we'll be talking about that a little bit more shortly. And then various grant opportunities, we'll be touching base on that as well. There are some options for deaccessioning, and those include the Pillars of the Community, the Mercado Grande series, which are the mosaic tiles that are embedded in the concrete on Center City and Grant, and then Shifting Threshold, and that is another project that we can talk about in a little bit. So let me go into a little bit more detail in some of these particular projects. So as far as the art solicitation project or category is concerned, that again, the Grand Avenue Roundabout is going to be the project continuation. As of right now, the RFQ has been completed, and so we are currently reviewing the submissions for that RFQ. Just to give you kind of a quick update, we received 25 submissions for that, which is quite a few. Sandra and myself are in the process of reviewing those for completeness, and that will then get moved to the subcommittee for continued discussion. The budget for that project was $500,000. The Escondido Creek Trail, again, also a continuing project. We are in the process of developing the RFP. We've met a couple of times with the subcommittee in developing what the requirements for that project look like, the areas of those particular projects, and the number of individual projects within the greater project itself. The particular budget for that is $250,000. The Escondido Expressions program has been a successful program with a lot of engagement and a lot of really positive feedback. This is one of the ones that people can start seeing kind of those small artwork throughout their city with the different utility boxes that they've been doing. We are currently open for phase 3.3 call for artists right now, and then Sandra will be reviewing phase 3.2 with you in the next agenda item. The budget for this particular one for 24-25 was $7,500. The next item is the art education section or category, and this is the Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month that takes place each April. The program has not occurred yet, obviously, but it is coming up very shortly. It was a grant-funded program that was available to promote arts within the community. The full budget for that was $50,000, and they issued up to $7,000 worth of grants to 9 different grantees. In addition to that, we also paid for a consultant to come in to do promotion for that particular event as well. So we're looking forward to a really great month of promoting art, culture, and creativity. So we're suggesting we continue that into the next year. Again, also, we're suggesting a continuation of the UHSD student murals. Again, that's a 5-year-long partnership that we would like to extend potentially for another 5 years. That allows students to be able to paint murals on various recreation facilities. We do not just have to do Washington Park. That has been what we've done in the past. We can expand that to some of our other areas as well, given direction from the commission. The budget for that particular program for this year was $10,000 as well. And then one of the things that is new as a part of this particular category is the Queen Califia and Sculpture Garden Strategic Plan. So we are looking at wanting to develop a strategic plan to align with the goal of making the Queen an art-based destination. And we can talk about that a little bit more and what that looks like, but essentially is what we are considering is widening the fencing around Queen Califia to incorporate a much larger area, and then placing some of our decommissioned sculptures or other new sculptures that might be eligible to be placed in that particular space. That would also potentially mean an event space as well as potentially a gift shop also. But in order for us to start that, that's not saying that's what we're going to get. We need to start with a strategic plan and what does that look like and how do we move forward in coordination with the Nikki Foundation, and that's really important for us. So we will be working with them in making sure this works with their vision as well. And again, drawing people to the Queen and that space and making it a full destination. One of the things that we did do, just kind of related to this, is, as you well are aware, that we just recently decommissioned Vinehenge, and Vinehenge was actually removed within the last 2 weeks. We're in the process of restoring that back to its natural state of just grass. One of the things that we chose to do is that the leaf benches that were there were not destroyed. We actually are holding those. The goal of holding those is to place those in this space once we move towards the sculpture gardens. So those are currently available and they're currently being held as an homage or honoring Vinehenge that was here in Great Day Park. So that's what we're looking at. The next thing that we're also looking at is art maintenance. And there are 2 brand new things that we are working with, and I'm going to have Sandra actually talk a little bit more about the banner program. I think this is really amazing, and it's a very unique program.
So this banner program came after a discussion with our street banner vendor who puts up our Escondido hero banners and our Christmas banners as a possibility for us to also incorporate that in our city. It's inspired by Colors on Canvas from Mission Hills. So what they did is they printed street banners with one side would have a logo of the sponsor, and that sponsor would pay a set price. Student artists were selected and given banners to paint on the other side, and then these banners went up. If we are able to get enough sponsors and put these banners up, we would be able to start creating that maintenance fund. This would be a fundraiser. We would reach out to businesses, organizations, and they would purchase the banner at obviously a higher cost than it would be to make the banner and to hang the banner. And then we would be able to not only showcase art of students or other artists in our community, but we would be able to put that money towards art maintenance. And this could be a program that could continue in the next following years to allow the continuation of the maintenance fund. And Robert's just showing you some examples of that art.
Correct. So what you're seeing here is just some examples of what some of that art actually looks like on one side of the banner. Again, the other side would be more of a sponsorship side, and then potentially also maybe some sort of writing or something that would indicate what this program is for and what specifically it is all about. So if we have enough time, and we will, with this being incorporated potentially into the public art annual work plan, this gives us time to be able to kind of flesh out a lot of the details of how do we move forward. Now, keep in mind though, although that this is one of those things that we can start seeing revenue immediately. We would not be likely to be able to start spending that money immediately just because of the costs associated with a lot of the art maintenance that we have. It may take a couple of years to kind of build up that reserve, if you will, before we would actually start being able to put those monies toward actual art maintenance. So we would start small, maybe 20 to 25 banners to begin with, and then take that opportunity in successive years to be able to potentially grow and or expand this particular program.
There's also a lot of other ways that we can do this program. They chose to particularly paint on those banners. We have discussed possibly even doing a digital art where that art is then printed on the banners. That would be a less of a lift on volunteers and students. We can also, there's a couple different ways that we've thought about it, and we just need to flesh out more details, but this is a great starting point for us to start making some money for maintenance.
So when we're fleshing out more details, are we going to be figuring out, because I just realized that I don't understand how it's going to work as far as reusing former student banners and adding on to those?
These will not be reused. So this will be
New
for,
ones.
they will be brand new ones. These will just be for the year. Also, the other thing that's important to note is that these will be posted on the light poles only between January and May. So it's a short period of time as well, because what we do is between May and November, we do our hero banners, and then between November and January, we do our holiday banners. And then therefore, the only time frame we would have potentially available to us would be from January to May. So just, that's something that we're also looking at as a part of this project.
This is just an idea, but these banners look like they'll be amazing. And knowing our students within our city, we have so many opportunities to have beautiful banners. Can we not auction those off at the end?
That is actually something that the subcommittee talked about as well as a possibility for an additional portion of that fundraiser.
How much were made on the banners from Mission Hills, was it, or Mission?
Or the neighborhood of Mission Hills?
Yes.
We don't have the exact numbers from Mission Hills, just that this is a program they implemented.
Is it just one banner per pole?
Correct.
But it's a double-sided banner. And what we talked about doing is having a public art message on one side of the banner, and perhaps that's where we put the sponsorship information to, so that it does give you the opportunity to sell artwork that isn't branded, right? That can just be hung against the wall.
For sure.
So I think there's lots of opportunities.
Yeah, I think, and I see the mix between the banners. There are some that were obviously sponsored and they work that into, the piece, which I guess kind of brings me to question, like, does the business then decide what's on the banner? But I actually like it in a sense because it promotes, local shops, local businesses, and so I think it's kind of a cool opportunity. There's incentives for everyone. The student gets their art up on these banners, the business gets, marketing, and thirdly, we get really interesting things to look at for, I think, a good chunk of time. January to May, that's a lot of months.
Yeah. And again, all these questions that each of you commissioners have, these are all things that we would need to discuss and move forward through the process to nail down a lot of those details. We don't have those details right now. This is just an overarching view of what we could be doing as a part of the annual work plan process. So continuing on with the art maintenance portion is that we would be seeking various grant opportunities around either art maintenance, art administration, or other art-related program funding, and then also utilize organizational partnerships when possible. And this comes from, we are talking about Art, Culture, and Creativity Month, and we have so many art-related organizations in Escondido that we can leverage those partnerships with those individuals, whether they are nonprofits or small businesses, to be able to get grant opportunities that will allow us to work with art maintenance, art administration, and so on. And then the last on this particular list is decommissioning. There is a variety of different sculptures and items that could potentially be decommissioned, including the Pillars of the Community, which is along Escondido Boulevard. You'll see that actually is in a couple of the pictures right here. And while those have been removed, they've not officially been decommissioned for some of the ones that have been damaged. And some of those ones that haven't been damaged that were a part of this particular series have been placed at other locations in the city, including in one of the fire stations, as well as the Park Avenue Community Center. So we would need to look at what do we want to do with these particular sculptures. There's also the Mercado Grande series, which is the mosaic tiles that are embedded in the concrete on Grand Avenue and Center City Parkway. And then we also have Shifting Threshold, which is on East Valley Parkway. And those are the stained glass mosaics that you would see kind of on either the center median or the side of the street that are on poles. And so these are all items that are possible options for you for potential decommissioning. So what we are looking for at this point is for the commission to provide direction and feedback on the annual work plan subcommittee to be able to further develop this particular plan.
I want to ask a question. I love those pillars of the community. Is there something in the future we could replace those with? Because they're all being removed, right? I mean, I know they're being
The ones that, there were
crosswalks.
some that were damaged that were completely removed and they are sitting at our public works yard. The ones that are still in decent condition, they were just reassigned to other locations that would allow us to have a greater visibility on those items to prevent them from being damaged any further.
Okay. Robert, on the thresholds, we have an opportunity to discuss them,
Would we have the opportunity to?
have further discussion on those remaining, the thresholds that go down to East Valley Parkway.
Right. So we can choose the series as a whole, or we can choose individual ones. It just kind of depends. Some of these items that are potentially looking to be decommissioned, depending on which ones you choose, not choose, whatever it is. Again, with the idea in mind that if we want to save one or two of those items and place them potentially in that sculpture garden as a part of the plan that we also talked about, that's something that can be done as well.
So with regard to decommissioning, our public art strategic plan says that we may, I believe is the word, decommission one piece of art per year. So the intent here is to create a list of artwork that is in need of repair, so that it's coming, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's top of mind for us. You know, as we begin to raise funds, as we begin to create this sculpture garden, we know the different things that we need to be taking into account. We're not making those decisions as to what the disposition of those pieces are today. What we're saying is we know that these pieces need attention. So we want them listed so that we take them into account as we make all of our decisions.
I guess I would ask that a consideration be made for murals, especially after talking about the stairs and the possibility of the Vita Gold project. As far as how much funds, I guess that's dependent on the other items you have included in the work plan and how much money is available to us.
right? And that's going to be the overarching. And I don't know whether this is the right time to ask this question, but as we've gone through this conversation, back to the stairs mural, that property has changed hands twice in like 3 years. How do we protect ourselves in a circumstance like that? And you know, we have an owner that's signing an agreement that says that it has to be in place for 5 years. And if we spend $30 or $40 or $50,000 on this and we've got a change in, is there a clause? What do we do? And like I said, I don't know whether this is the right time, but it's something that we have to think about, right?
Yeah, that's a great question, Commissioner Rogers. And the expectation is that if we signed an agreement, and we would have to run this through our city attorney's office, that agreement, once the property is sold or transitioned over to a new management company, would also be bound by maintaining that piece of art for the agreed period of time that we had set with the previous owner or management company.
You're right, Robert. It would be a binding contract that transfers.
Correct.
I think I agree with Commissioner Keller about taking into consideration the stairs project, the murals, and also in terms of Escondido expressions. I know we're not talking budget right now, but we were discussing possibly increasing the stipend. So considering that for next year's work plan budget as well.
And just, I know that Commissioner Martinez just mentioned we're not necessarily talking budget because I don't have a set amount of money for you. On average, the new money that gets infused into the Public Art Fund ranges anywhere between about $80,000 to about $100,000 annually is what you would be receiving. So you were, last year when we started this process, we had approximately $1.2 million that was available to us, and we have done a significant amount of money at drawing that down with the very large major projects that we have had. And we still have a reserve within the Public Art Fund. And then we will also be receiving this infusion of new money as a part of those developer fees that we will be receiving. And again, those fees are going to vary because it depends on the development projects that have come into this city. Because in addition to the money that potentially we're receiving, that is that the developer has the option of doing art in lieu of paying that fee. So that's also one of those things where that can be done. So the Marlowe project downtown where the old hospital is, they chose to do art in lieu of actually paying that fee. So there are other projects in town that may choose to do that as well, and hence why you might get a little bit of the variance in addition to depending on what development projects are currently going on that are in the pipeline, if you will.
Sandra, thank you, Robert, for putting so much work into this. I mean, it's obvious that it's a working plan, and there's a lot more discussion in committee to be made, but I think it's a great plan, and I think we should continue on with it.
Agreed.
Yes.
We're very excited about this plan. I think both Sandra and I are very excited for two things within this plan, both of them being new. The banner process, because I know that we've been working towards trying to find funding specifically for art maintenance, and I think this is a really great avenue for us to be able to do that, number one. The second thing is that the Queen Califia and Sculpture Garden strategic plan, I think, is something that we're both very excited for because it really designates that the Queen is a priority for us. And I know that over the last several years it has not seemed that way, but I believe that with this plan, with this process, the city and the Public Art Commission are committing to this is an important piece of artwork in our city. It draws people from all around the world, and then from there, it draws people to our downtown, and then it also allows people for spending in our shops, in our restaurants, in our stores. So very important for us.
I do have a question in that regard. Are we going to hire a consultant for that, or is that going to be city staff and the Nikki Foundation?
So my vision is that we would actually work on hiring a consultant, but we would do it in coordination with the Nikki Foundation. So if they had someone in mind or a company in mind that does this kind of process, that we would entertain that.
And do they have budget that might help us with that?
So that would be something that we could talk with them about. But I do think that's...
Or maybe we look for a grant,
that
because this could be a lot of money.
absolutely, yeah. So what I'm ballparking right now as far as the costs associated with putting together a strategic plan like this, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about $75,000 to $100,000. But the implementation of that plan will likely be in the millions. So let's be clear about that.
And it'll generate a lot of revenue for the city.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so I think you have the direction you need from us. Do we need to summarize it?
No, I think I've got really great direction, so thank you very much.
Okay.
And I would say there's no dumb question, but maybe. Just as far as decommissioning some of the pieces, I just want to be very clear, just not to, I mean, some of the pieces, like the shifting sands out there, I mean, I was looking at them, they're just in the wrong place, maybe we use them somewhere else, they're faded, yes, but that kind of adds to the ambience of that.
That's all going to be talked about later.
Well, I'm just, yes, so,
Yeah.
yes, I was just saying that we do need to keep the decommissioning in mind, just don't throw it out. I hope you keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, I think what you'll do is when you have the conversation in your subcommittee, you will drill down much farther into what's important for you to decommission based on the damage, the art maintenance that potentially might be required, something like that, and then we can kind of go forward from there.
There's that feedback again.
I have no idea. Do you know what it is?
I don't. I saw.
Which is this one?
Oh.
How do you turn it on? No, is it on?
Are those?
Hello?
I gotta make a note of that.
How do you turn this one on? It's
I don't know.
stuck.
Do you?
How do you turn this one on?
I think that's, I'm gonna have to tell Jorge it's. Okay.
That helps.
And item number 6, Escondido Expressions Traffic Signal Box Program.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Sandra Aguilar, Management Analyst, and it is my pleasure to give you an update on the Escondido Expressions Program. As a reminder, the Escondido Expressions Program is designed to enhance and bring art to Escondido's neighborhoods and commercial areas by transforming traffic signal boxes into works of art. The goal is to highlight local artists, deter graffiti, and expand the city's public art by creating scenes that reflect the vibrancy and diversity of local neighborhoods. On July 8th, the full commission approved 15 locations and accompanying themes to be released in a call for artists. Each artist chosen will receive a $500 stipend, with one box requiring additional preparation and therefore receiving an additional $200 stipend. Now an update on Phase 3.1. The call for artists in Phase 3.1 was released on September 24th. Submissions were received and reviewed by the Escondido Expression Subcommittee before being released for public input for 2 weeks. The subcommittee's final recommendation was for the approval at the November 18th, 2024 meeting. This resulted in 6 boxes being approved. As of right now, 3 boxes are completely finished with artists having received full payment, and 3 boxes are in progress. Technical difficulties. Okay. The first box to be completed was by artist Zane. His piece, Harvest Time, is located on West Felicita Avenue and Center City Parkway. The next box is Grape Day Smash by Steven Zamora, located at the Mid-Street Crossing on Broadway next to Grape Day Park. The third fully completed box is Nature's Tapestry by artists Kieran Edwards and Kiana Harold. The rendering they submitted is at the top and the completed work is at the bottom, and I just wanted to share it with you since it's quite impressive. In progress is Cruising in the Clouds by Lydia Martin. The majority of the box is complete. The side you're seeing now is fully complete. We're just missing a couple words on a street sign, which is on the other side of the box. The second one in progress is Orange Squeeze by Sophia Papas. The subcommittee sent some feedback and we're waiting on the artist to reply. Last is What a Wonderful World by artist Ryan Keith Ross. There was a car accident that hit a nearby wall and it delayed it due to the repairs, but the artist has picked up the primer and A-frame and is currently painting. Now we're going to review the Phase 3.2 timeline. On Monday, January 13th, the call for artists was released for 5 locations and their themes. The distribution channels included the city's website, sending it to previously selected artists directly, and the Public Art Commissioner's personal and professional networks. On Friday, February 7th, there was the submissions deadline. We received a total of 7 submissions by 5 artists for 4 locations. 2 locations had multiple submissions and 1 location received no submissions. On February 10th, the Escondido Expression Subcommittee met in order to select the top submissions for these locations that received multiple submissions. 1 location with 1 submission was not released as it was noted as unfinished by the artist on the application. The subcommittee suggested that the artist finish and resubmit the work for Phase 3.3. That was communicated to the artist, who is happy to have more time to work on his submission. Between February 17th and March 2nd were the 14 days of public input, and on March 3rd, the Escondido Expression Subcommittee met for the final time for final selection and review and to submit their final recommendation. On February 17th, the online public input survey was released for a total of 14 days. The public was able to choose from the top 3 selections for each location, as well as none of these if they didn't like the submissions. Additionally, there was a program comment box and a location suggestion box where they could submit locations for boxes they would like to see painted. The online survey resulted in 101 responses with 26 comments submitted and 13 box locations. Comments were overwhelmingly positive, and I selected 3 to show you here today. The comments generally fell in 2 categories this time. It was the first of loving the artwork that was coming to our city. Comments stated that their love of the art in their neighborhood and how the program was beautifying those spaces. And the second category was loving the opportunity for artists to share their talents with our city. We received 13 comments for locations they would like to see painted, and many used this as an opportunity to submit ideas for themes. One street that was mentioned multiple times was Escondido Boulevard with various cross streets, and there were many wonderful suggestions for themes. What was interesting is that some of the theme selections are of themes that we already have painted, such as poppies, car theme, and historic theme. It goes to show how well the themes were chosen by the subcommittee. The first traffic signal box we're looking at is themed with Dairy Farm and is located at Lincoln Avenue in North Ash. It was chosen in honor of a Vickier dairy location. For this location, we received 2 submissions. The preferred submission from the public and the Escondido Expression Subcommittee was untitled by Cindy Peters and Leslie Mayer. I did reach out to the artists. They're working on a title. The artists have participated in various painting endeavors in Escondido, from painting murals and panels for Escondido Alley Art to K-rails along Grand Avenue during COVID. Both have lived in Escondido for 70 years and have enjoyed the community grow. In their statement about their inspiration for this piece, they said the Vergier Dairy was a much loved part of the early Escondido life. The second location had the theme of celebrating Latino heritage due to the surrounding neighborhood. It is important to note that at this location, only 3 sides of the box are visible. This location received 1 submission. The preferred, I apologize, it seems that the PowerPoint is not updated. The preferred submission from the public and the Escondido Expression Subcommittee was Latino Culture by artist Steven Zamora. Steven has also painted Great Day Smash. The artist was born and raised in Escondido and wished to help make our city colorful and vibrant. He stated that the inspiration from this piece is what I would see and participate as a kid. It is embedded in us from birth to enjoy life, dance, sing, play music, paint art, cook, and have faith.
The last artists that were mentioned there are actually for this.
Correct. It seems to, for some reason, my PowerPoint isn't up to date. The one
No worries.
So you just kind of listen to me. The third traffic signal location theme is modern with bright colors near Palomar College. This location received 3 submissions, and the subcommittee have decided on the top 2 as their preference. They would like the full commission's input for the final decision. The first one is on the left, is called Dreams Under the Stars by artists Kiana Harold and Kieran Edwards. These 2 young artists are recent college graduates and painted the animals piece you saw earlier today. Kiana stated, "The biggest source of inspiration behind Dreams Under the Stars is my experience as a college student and the vast amount of possibilities the future holds after graduating." Kieran stated, "The inspiration for this artwork was the idea of the colors of space. The idea of adventure and discovery was what swarmed my head. Space lingers as one of the final frontiers to explore, and we live in a universe surrounded by colors." The second choice is Colorful Perseverance by Lauren McLean. Lauren was a past Palomar student. Regarding her inspiration for this piece, she stated, "Just like the cacti are adapted to survive, so are students. A cactus, though needing little water, can still thirst for nourishment when available, similar to how students crave knowledge when provided with the resource and motivation. The cactus reach up to the illuminated sky is a metaphor for the students reaching towards their brighter goals." The public support was for Dreams Under the Stars. The subcommittee is leaning towards Colorful Perseverance and would like to hear your thoughts on these 2 pieces.
I'm leaning towards, well, so I'm immediately drawn to Dreams Under the Stars, but would this be the 3rd box by that pair?
Second.
Second?
In this series.
Okay, in this series, but they have painted in other series, have they not? It's just the second one?
They've only painted the Nature's Tapestry, which was the animals themed box.
Yeah, they're clearly capable of doing that. But the other one is really lovely. It's really lovely. I'm inclined to go with Colorful Perseverance because it gives another artist a chance.
And I think it's nice to hear that she attended Palomar too. So, and it's right by the school.
I feel like the Dreams Under the Stars kind of reminds me of the piece going on the library too. I don't know if they're, and I'm just talking here. I don't know if there's an opportunity for like a utility box near that to have, you know, a space, you know, but also considering that these artists have had a box before, you know, perhaps that's down the line, but I could go either way. They're both beautiful and they're both colorful.
I have to agree, they're both beautiful and they're both colorful. Is there an opportunity to put the one Dreams Under the Stars for a future project more towards down the East Valley Parkway towards Palomar Mountain?
Yeah, I think the intent with all of the artists that we don't choose is we always refer them to the next phase to resubmit artwork if it fits with another theme as well. So that was the intent here too. If any of them, whichever one was not chosen, was going to be referred to the next phase that I think has 2 free artist boxes. I can't remember, but
I don't remember. There for sure is one.
Yes, I remember
Free,
one.
and I believe there's one that's just colorful, so
Yeah.
it's very open to interpretation.
Well, my favorite is Dreams Under the Stars, but maybe not for that location. I just think that possibly it kind of stands alone. And going out of town down East Valley Parkway, if there's any more utility boxes, I mean, I love both of them.
Does it fit at all for any box that we didn't get a response to?
The one we didn't get a response to was for honoring Native heritage. The other one was for community. So in this current phase, no, it would fit in a couple of the different themes in 3.3.
We kind of consistently have an issue
With the native.
with the Native.
And I just want to tell you that I heard from the Lakota artist, and she's recusing herself because of, she wrote me a very eloquent email about etiquette between tribes, and she said hers wouldn't belong there. We finally thought we had somebody in, but she's right.
And I think speaking about the difficulty with that box, if we don't get any more engagement in the next phase, the conversation would be changing that theme as well.
Yeah. I did write to the people who are doing the Indigenous Festival, which is the San Pasquale Band, and I asked them, could they please refer artists to us, but I haven't heard back yet.
Great news, they're beginning to respond. I know that we got a submission from one of the Kumaye for the roundabout sculpture. So they're beginning to respond. We're making inroads.
Nice.
Do we need to vote on, yes?
Yes, we would need a vote from the full commission as to which one would be on Midway and Valley Parkway.
And you need a motion to approve. I am going to make a motion that we approve A, Colorful Perseverance by Lauren Clean for this location.
I second that motion.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved 6-0.
One question. Terry, you can speak about this, your idea for that one to tell the artist, but but I heard what she had to say. Do you still feel, what do you think?
I really enjoyed the second piece. I mean, I like both of the pieces. There's different places that they could go. I'd like to make sure the artist on the first piece understands that they can resubmit this piece. On the second piece, I really like it, except for one thing. Everything's in the foreground on the bottom, slightly cut off. I'd like to see a couple of the cacti going out a little bit into the middle ground. where I see more of
Are
the
you on that
cactus.
committee?
Pardon me?
Are you on that committee?
Yes. Why? I'm wondering.
I was just curious. So I'm a creator sometimes.
Yeah.
This art comes from very deep inside a person.
Yes, it does.
I'm not sure it's our place to tell them to move cactus.
Okay. I understand that.
I-
That's just my.
This is open to
Yeah.
discussion. but-
I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I've taught art for a number of years, so I do understand that.
So are you saying that the part of the cactus would be hidden? Or no? Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
On a box,
Right.
sometimes things get lost. Once you've painted them on a box,
Uh-huh.
they get a little lost.
I understand what you're both saying, yes.
Let's just leave it at that.
The ghost in the machine.
Okay.
We did that vote and we're moving on?
I'm almost done.
Okay. No, I didn't say out, on.
We are moving on to phase 3.3. I'm just doing a recap of our current timeline. So right now, the call for artists has been released. Please continue to share that so we can get lots of submissions. It will be open until the end of March. The week of March 31st, our subcommittee will meet. We will then release it for 2 weeks of public input, as we have with our other phases. The subcommittee will meet to get the final recommendations for the Public Art Commission, and those will be presented on May 12th. With the goal of it all being done by June, but we'll see. And so this will be- typically they don't approve the other two.
Oh.
Yes, technically you haven't approved the first two, so the staff recommendation is to approve the artist submissions for the 3 traffic signal boxes as recommended by the Escondido Expression Subcommittee and supported by public input.
I'll motion to approve the first 2 boxes.
Because we've already approved the third, right? So all in favor? And we have not raised the stipend yet? That's coming next year?
No, that would be in phase 4.
Oh, phase 4,
Yeah.
okay.
I just wanted to say something concerning the expressions and some of the other murals in town. I was out of town for a couple of weeks, and sometimes in design, when you turn around and you turn back around, you see just things look different, or they just like wow you. That's the feeling I got when I came back to Escondido, and just seeing all the murals and all the boxes, and I'm like, wow, I live here. And it's just doing an amazing job, just all of you, so, all of us. So anyway, it is inspiring.
Item 7, Queen Calafia report.
All right, there's the Queen Calafia report. There are some basic numbers that we have for January and February. We were open for 11 days in January. Our total visitor log showed over 1,600 visits, although the geolocation data indicates about 650 visits. And again, remember, we include both of those so that you can see what the logs show versus also what our geolocation shows as well. And again, remember, geolocation, not everybody has that turned on, not everybody is sharing it, not everybody has a smartphone that will be able to share that, can share that data. So just for your information. February, we were looking at 8 days of being open, and then the visitor logs and the geolocation information actually was much more closely related there. As far as the docent information is concerned, we have 28 active docents. We had 1 brand new docent that started. Our docent hours year to date, so just from January and February, were 103. As of right now, we have not done any private tours for the month, but we do actually have one coming up in the month of March, so that will be really nice. One of the really great updates that I want to be able to share with you is that we have a brand new staff member that is wholly dedicated to Queen Califia. And her name is Nikki, interestingly enough. And I would like to invite Nikki up to share kind of her background and what she is going to be doing with Queen Califia in working with the docents.
Can I ask a really fast question? Is that 103 man hours?
Yes.
Hello, I'm Nikki. I'll be working at...
Oh, no, that's me.
No, it's not doing it.
All right. Try this again.
Want to use one of those that Robert's using,
Yeah,
you
you
might
can.
not interfere,
Yeah. I'll let you sit. I don't need to sit there.
Hello, I'm Nikki. I'll be working with Queen Califia. And I recently just began in February. I got my bachelor's in art history, so I'm excited to get the volunteers more on like a strict program, get like docenting programs. We have a couple things like orientation. I'm working with the head docent right now, like figuring out a way to get people involved in a more artistic component to the space. And now I'm actually very excited. I'll be leading the first private tour at the end of the month. So yeah, very exciting.
Welcome. This is so exciting. A full-time person.
Not full-time, part-time.
She's part-time, but she's
A full part-time
100%
person. Full part-time. Sorry.
dedicated.
A full person.
A full person.
Yes.
Thank you, Nikki.
So you're leading your first private tour at the end of the month? We've already had private tours, correct?
Yeah.
But this is your first one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are they coming from, do you know?
I'm not sure. I think
It's a school.
Oh, it's a school.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So it's one of the, I believe it's actually a homeschool. And so if I recall, this is the group that attends annually right about in the springtime to bring their students there for art appreciation, which is really great.
Nice. Thank you.
Absolutely. So Nikki mentioned there's a number of different things that she's going to be working on, including updating our volunteer docent binder, updating our docent welcome packet, as well as we are currently working towards establishing our visitor guidelines, which we have, and we've now are out to have them posted on sign. That signage should be posted very shortly. So we're expecting that to go up within the next month. And that very clearly articulates and outlines what the expectations are. So we had a situation that occurred, unfortunately, towards the end of the spring last year, wherein a group of students came in and they were not being, let's say, particularly respectful of the Queen. There was food that was brought in. There was like Kool-Aid that was brought in. Now, thankfully, our docents and our maintenance team was able to clear that off, and we didn't have too much of a problem. But it occurred to us that we did not have set guidelines for visiting. So now we can actually point to those guidelines that are currently posted on our website, and that will actually be posted at the site specifically as well.
And item number 8, staff liaison report.
So I have a couple of different items to speak on. One of the most prominent items, and I know that we've been working on this for almost a year now, is the Art Speaks Escondido Community Foundation projects. There are 3 of them that include the library mural, the Escondido Creek Trail, as well as Threshold 5. had the opportunity to meet with the Escondido Community Foundation a number of weeks ago. We were able to get through a couple of these items. The mural project, we are just simply waiting on some last minute kind of insurance items specifically from the artist, and then the artist will be able to get started on that project. So they will have enough time to be able to paint the building with the mural, given the pushback timeline for the library infrastructure project. So very happy to see that going up. And then what we will likely do is do more of a grand opening of the kind of the mural when we do the new grand opening of the library once the infrastructure project is completed in spring of 2026. But at least the artist will be able to get that up. The other one is the Escondido Creek Trail mural that is going to be going in on the creek trail between Harding and Rose, I believe it is, between Harding and Rose. And so we are currently working with the artists themselves to let them know what the requirements are to be able to get in there. The construction for that segment of the trail is actually not taking place until September, and the artists would like to get in there a little bit sooner, so we are putting things in motion to allow the artists to get onto that project a little bit sooner than what they had anticipated, because initially we talked about waiting until after that segment of the creek trail was completed. But he'd like to get it done a little bit sooner, so we are going to facilitate that for him. The last item is the Threshold 5. You may recall in your November meeting, there was a presentation by the artist about Threshold 5. That's the portal-looking metal sculpture. And the idea was that we would be able to accept that into our permanent collection. When we started looking at where that was initially designated to go, we ran into some very heavy environmental concerns or issues that would have required us to do a CEQA, which is the California Environmental Quality Act. And that meant that it potentially was costing upwards of $100,000 to be able to do that, just to be able to place that sculpture in the location that was initially designated. After reviewing a couple of options, we have landed on potentially a new location. It would be basically on the corner of Entrance Drive, this is in Kit Carson Park, and Castaneda Drive. So when you enter into Kit Carson Park from Mary Lane, right where the fire station is, and you go to that T, it would be located essentially in that particular area. There is no environmental concerns. It has great ADA access. It has high visibility. It overlooks Scout Lake. So these are all very positive things. With that, having discussion with our maintenance team as well, we are likely able to make the recommendation when it comes back to you in May that we will be able to accept it into our permanent location. So we're very happy about that. At the moment, we are waiting for a decision from the foundation to determine if they're going to accept that particular location. Sounds like they likely will, but we want to make sure before we kind of move forward and accept that. Once we accept that into our permanent collection, we can allow the artist then to be able to move forward with the installation of that piece. So we would likely have that installed, I would say probably before the end of summer. So very happy about that. We were supposed to have a public art municipal code update that was supposed to go to City Council. It went to the Planning Commission on January 14th and it passed the Planning Commission. However, the omnibus code update was pulled from the City Council agenda because there were some things not with regard to the public art code updates, but with regard to some of the other planning code updates that needed to be addressed before it went back to the City Council. So that is currently where it's sitting right now. We're going to wait until it goes back to City Council, and that should be done very shortly. Yes.
Other code that relates to the code that we were trying to change pertaining to public art?
Correct. So the code changes were the ones that were suggested in the public art strategic plan. So things like art in lieu of, we just defined in sections of the code, which is Article 37, we defined it a little bit better. So what did we mean by art in lieu of, right? So something like that. It also defines a little bit more what the role of city staff is, as far as we have the ability to be able to stop artwork from going in if it is not safe, if it is, in the right of way or something along those lines. In addition to that, it also builds in the requirement of the artist for maintaining the artwork for a minimum of 5 years. So that will now be enshrined in the public art code once it goes forward. Does that provide some clarity for you?
Thank you.
Sure. The Grand Avenue Roundabout project, I'm very happy to say that this is going forward. This is a huge undertaking for both Sandra and myself and the rest of the community services team in moving this forward. We received 25 submissions for the RFQ, which is absolutely amazing. What also was incredible to me is not just did we receive them from across the country, a solid amount of them came from San Diego County. I am flabbergasted at how incredible number of artists live in San Diego County and that are utterly amazing in their works. We have people and artist teams that have worked with large organizations like the City of San Diego, like the Port Authority, like the Airport Authority. I'm so much looking forward to this particular process. Sandra and I are meeting tomorrow because one of the things that we have to do is our due diligence to ensure that they have met all of the minimum requirements. So we are meeting tomorrow to review those minimum requirements of those 25 artists. It's entirely possible that all 25 artists have met that minimum qualifications. Also possible that not all of them have. And if they have not, then what we will do is we will make note of that, and then we will notify those artists that they did not meet the minimum qualifications and they would not be moving on in this particular process. However, once we have made that determination, the subcommittee will meet, and it's going to be meeting a couple of times because we cannot reasonably go through 25 artists all at the same time. So probably going to be a series of meetings, and then from there, we are going to pare that down to probably about 10 artist or artist teams that we're going to be presenting to the public. And with the presentation to the public, we are not only going to provide that out through our various channels, but we're also going to be holding an actual community meeting. An in-person community meeting is really important. And so we're going to be doing that within that period of time. And then it will go back to the subcommittee, and then it will go to you as the Public Art Commission in the May meeting to decide which artists or artist teams would you like to move forward to the RFP process. So we are in this, and we are going forward, and it's going to be
it's a really aggressive schedule.
It is an incredibly aggressive schedule.
You guys are sleeping in the office?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We do anyway. It's just what we do. So that's it. That's the what we're looking at. And just for your information, as far as what the next meeting agenda potentially looks like, the Escondido Expressions Phase 3.3, we will be bringing back for your final approval the 25-26 annual work plan. We will be giving you a Escondido Creek Trail update at that point, and then obviously the Grand Avenue Roundabout Art Project, and then Threshold 5. Please know that is a very heavy meeting. So we will be here for at least 2 hours minimum, if not longer than that. So just please be prepared.
And item 9, the project tracking sheet.
And so you have there what those project tracking sheets look like. So it just shares basic information about where those projects currently stand for those that are interested.
If nobody has any questions on the project tracking sheet, I'd like to make a suggestion for kind of a standing agenda item. And this is kind of modeled after what they do at the city council meetings. Each council member has an opportunity to talk about perhaps an event that they went to, something that they feel that the rest of the commission might find useful. And I would like for us to do that at every meeting. Is that, and I don't remember, I need a second on that, don't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Actually,
It's kind of,
it's as the chair, doesn't she? No?
it's like the library trustee report,
Okay.
kind of like they want to just,
Yeah.
so we can do a standing, but yeah,
Yeah.
you just need one more person to put it on the future
Yep.
agenda.
I'll second that.
thank you.
And I guess just to add on, maybe for it to be a bit open-ended, like if you went to a local, shop that has different artists featured or this and that, but bringing it back to art.
Right, right. And part of the reason why I want this, and I'm going to make this comment now, is Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month is beginning to have organic growth like we hoped it would have. I got an email from the company that is doing the PR for us saying, hey, I just found out that one of my clients does these nature art walks with schools in Escondido. Does that count? Yes, that counts. So when you're having conversations with anyone, it counts. We have a branding. We should send the branding to the entire commission, shouldn't we? We've got all of our logos and our best practices for Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month.
That would be awesome.
That's a question, sort of, but I think if our commissioners may run into people who are doing events that would fit.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Also, is there a place where we can see a calendar of all those events yet?
The designated landing page is Visit Escondido, Arts and Culture, and then the activity calendar. And we will be sending you, in this kit, with all of the logos and so forth, we'll send you a QR code for that landing page. And the press release has not been sent yet. It's coming out this week.
So probably after that, they'll update the calendar.
And that the calendar updates on Visit Escondido, for you guys probably don't know, individual organizations list their own events. So we have to encourage them to do that. So thank you. If there are no other comments, we'll close the meeting. Yes? Okay. We are adjourned at 6:21.